Hello and welcome to Lamplighter. Today is February 8. Just about the time we had thought we were getting a little bit bogged down in some of the Bible reading each day, boy, the narrative takes off and explodes today. There is so much going on in today's reading, and I want to move quickly into that to make sure we have time to discuss some very important things. First of all, in today's reading, the text begins with a quarrel that happens between Miriam, Moses' sister, Aaron, Moses' brother, and Moses himself. Primarily, Moses' brother and sister taking issue with Moses, asking if he is the only one that has really been put in a position of authority. Now, the text says that there is some concern with Miriam because of a wife that Moses has taken. But I want to ask you, when you read the text, does it really sound like Moses' wife is the issue, or that Moses' wife is just an excuse for Miriam to really balk about having sort of a subservient role to Moses? It seems to me as though Miriam is wanting more authority, she's wanting more power, and because she questions Moses, and by the way, did you notice Aaron goes right along with her, very similar to the way in his weakness he went right along with the people when they asked him to build the golden calf. Maybe it seems that Aaron takes sort of a secondary role here in the quarrel because God does not punish Aaron the way he will ultimately punish Miriam. But God calls the three of them out to the tent of meeting, almost like a parent calling the children together to scold them. And I want you to notice again what God says because it's vitally important. And he says some amazing and powerful things about Moses himself. I'm reading from page 170 of our reading today. When a prophet of the Lord is among you, God says, I reveal myself to him in visions. I speak to him in dreams, but this is not true of my servant Moses. He is faithful in all my house. With him, I speak face to face, clearly, and not in riddles. He sees the form of the Lord. Why then were you not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? God is not happy at all that Miriam and Aaron have risen up in opposition to Moses. And so he punishes Miriam and makes her a leper. She becomes leprous, the text says, as white as snow. Moses is described as one who is the most humble man on the earth. How in the world could anyone have criticized his leadership, his authority, which he has made very clear from the beginning, comes only from God? Now that Miriam is a leper, she is afraid, as is Aaron. And so Moses pleads with God to take the leprosy away. God hears his prayer, and he's not going to keep her a leper permanently, but she still has to go outside the camp for 7 days because there must be some consequences to her uprising. Once again, we see that God means business. And when God chooses Moses to be his leader, Moses is the one he expects to lead. Miriam and Aaron have their roles, but their role is not the same, never has been, never will be, as that of Moses. Now, whenever we see what's happened here, we move on to a time when the people of Israel have started to move. The tabernacle has started to move, as we saw yesterday. And now God is moving his people closer to the promised land, that land of Canaan promised to Abraham so long ago. God tells Moses that he would like Moses to send 12 spies into the land to spy out the land. And so Moses chooses at God's command one man from each of the 12 tribes. So there are 12 spies that go into the land of Canaan. Now, I want to refer you to page 172 to notice the commission that that Moses gives to these spies. When Moses sent them to explore Canaan, he said, go up through the Negev and on into the hill country. See what the land is like and whether the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many. What kind of land do they live in? Is it good or bad? What kind of towns do they live in? Are they unwalled or fortified? How is the soil? Is it fertile or poor? Are there trees on it or not? Do your best to bring back some of the fruit of the land. It was the season for the first ripe grapes. Now that's the commission. Go see if the land is everything God has said it is. God has always called this the land of milk and honey, but he wants them to see for themselves. Yes, there are going to be Canaanites dwelling there, and yes, there are going to be some cities there, but he wants to see that the land truly is a land flowing with milk and honey. However, when the spies come back after spying out the land for 40 days, they report the land does flow with milk and honey, but there are giants and strong cities there. We can't go there. We're too weak. As a matter of fact, we looked like grasshoppers up against them. That's how we seem to ourselves, and so we must look that way to them. I don't remember the spies ever being commissioned to give a decision or to make a decision about whether or not the Israelites should go into the land. All they're asked to do is to see what the challenges are that are before them, to see the nature of the soil, to see the nature of the cities, to see the nature of the people, not to make a judgment about whether or not they should go. Caleb, one of the 12 spies, stands up and says, "Let's go. We can take this land. God is with us. We can conquer." But the Israelites listened to the whining of the other 10 spies, Joshua and Caleb trying to stand up for God, the other 10 saying, "We feel like grasshoppers. We sure look like grasshoppers to them. They're so big and so strong and so mighty." And they start to whine, and then all the Israelites start to whine along with them, and they start saying things like, "Why did Moses bring us out here in the wilderness to die?" You ever heard that song before? Same song, third verse. "Moses just brought us out here to die," they say. "Let's go back to Egypt where everything is so much better." This time God gets angry. He is tired of their complaining, tired of their missing the blessings that he is trying to give them. And he even once again says to Moses, "I'm going to destroy this people and start over with you." Once again, Moses pleads with God, not necessarily defending the people, but defending the honor of God. He's saying to God, "You can't do that because the Egyptians will think that was your purpose all along, to bring these people out into the wilderness to destroy them." Now, look at how Moses pleads with God on page 173. He says, "Now may the Lord's strength be displayed just as you have declared. The Lord is slow to anger, abounding in love, and forgiving sin and rebellion. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children for the sin of the fathers to the third and fourth generation. In accordance with your great love, forgive the sin of these people, just as you pardoned them from the time they left Egypt until now." Moses appeals to God's character, God's own self-description back in Exodus chapter 34. God does forgive the people, but he punishes them. They are now going to have to wander in the wilderness for 40 years. If you go down to the bottom of page 173, we read, "The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, 'How long will this wicked community grumble against me? I have heard the complaints of these grumbling Israelites, so tell them, as surely as I live, declares the Lord, I will do to you the very things I heard you say. In this desert your bodies will fall, every one of you 20 years old or more who was counted in the census and who has grumbled against me. Not one of you will enter the land I swore with uplifted hand to make your home, except Caleb son of Jephunneh and Joshua son of Nun.'" Then he goes on to say, "As for your children that you said would be taken as plunder, I will bring them in to enjoy the land you have rejected. But your bodies will fall in this desert. Your children will be shepherds here for 40 years, suffering for your unfaithfulness, until the last of your bodies lies in the desert. For 40 years, 1 year for each of the 40 days you explored the land, you will suffer for your sins and know what it's like to have me against you. I, the Lord, have spoken, and I will surely do these things to this whole wicked community, which is banded together against me. They will meet their end in the desert. Here they will die. God means business. God is very upset that they have shunned the blessings he's trying to give. And so not only does he have these harsh words of judgment that they're going to wander for 40 days in the desert, but he also strikes with a plague all of the 10 spies who came back with a negative report. Now, the people realize God means business. They realize they've messed up. So they admit their sin and they say, we'll go now. We'll go to Canaan now and take over the land. Moses says, I wouldn't do that if I were you, because God is not going with you. And here's the formula already being established. When God is with you, you'll be victorious. If God is not with you, you'll be defeated. These people are presumptuous. They go to Canaan anyway, or try to, and they're completely defeated, soundly whipped. Why? Because God didn't go with them. You know, the same is true today. God still seeks to bless you and me, and so many times we take the blessings for granted, or even, perish the thought, whine about things that really are blessings. When will God stop putting up with our complaining, our whining, our murmuring? When will we stop trying to go to battle without God? The only way we can ever be promised victory, the only way we will ever be more than conquerors, is if God leads us and we go with him at his command, exactly as he says. Isn't it great to be a lamplighter? His word is a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. I hope you have a blessed day.